Hi, this is my next project. Blaine Sumner is shown here. He's an IPF equipped lifter and he holds the world record of 500 kilo squat, and here he is in his training gym. You'll notice here that he's using a set of squat stands, which it's actually a combo bench press and squat stand. There's little holes and attachments to put a bench in. And this is the standard unit that's used in all IPF competitions. So they'll just put in the bench for the bench press section and have that taken away for the squat. So here we have squat uprights. Now these do come with safety stands or safety bars, but only for the bench press. When you're squatting, they're actually attached or slide up and down the uprights of the squat stands. So they're actually too short to be of any use. So what Blaine has done here, because he trains alone in his own gym and he trains like he competes with a squat bench stand, he's actually made these safety stands, and I thought it was a great idea. So with a bit of sleuthing and measuring and guessing, I'm making my own. So this is all copyright / Blaine Sumner. Let's have a look at what I did. This is a list of the materials, and this is the finished product. Now, unlike Blaine's safety squat stands, mine look really cool because I've got red feet, red uprights, and then they've got the speckled rubber on top. But let's just have a look at how it's made. It's quite simple, and look at the materials. You can make a list of the materials. So here's a very rough sketch. Let's have a look first at the feet. The feet are 75mm by 50mm, and I made them 500mm long. You notice that the feet are the same length as the top plate is wide. So the feet aren't going to stick out from the side of the safety squat stand. So you're not going to kick it with your toe or trip over it. And you can actually push the side of the stand right up against a wall or against a squat stand without the feet getting in the way. It's quite stable. I've actually sat on the finished product and it's solid as a rock. So you only need them to be the same width as your top plate. So the feet are 75 by 50 tubing and they're 500mm long. On the feet is welded the uprights. The uprights are 50 by 50mm and they're 500mm long as well. Now, sitting over the top of that, so that you could slide them up and down, are these sleeves. Now, these sleeves are tubing again, it's 5mm thick tubing, and they're 65 by 65 by 435mm long. So there's actually a bit of a gap between the foot and the actual sleeve that slides over the top. So you're not going to crunch against your foot, and they don't need to be touching at all. So that's 65 by 65, that slips over the top of 50-50 perfectly, and it's 5mm thick steel, very solid. Now, not shown in this drawing, but you'll see it in a moment, underneath here is a brace, which is a piece of 50 by 50 tubing, 480mm long. So the 480 plus the width of each of the sleeves makes it a little shorter than the entire plate. So there's a lip underneath here where if you want you can actually grab hold of it with your fingers without it hitting the sleeve, or you can also push it up end first against a wall or another piece of equipment and it's not going to get in the way. Okay, finally we've got our top plate. That's 500 by 650 and it's 6mm thick. It's not tread plate, it's just plain ordinary plate. You can use whatever you like, but that seems to be working just fine and dandy for what I'm doing. Around the edge of the top plate is a lip, and that's 25mm high, it's 3mm thick, and to make two with a top plate of those dimensions, you need 4.6 meters of this stuff. Okay, so 5 meters. Okay, so let's have another look at our photo. And so you see you've got our feet, our uprights inside the sleeves. We've got our sleeves that's welded to the top plate, and unseen underneath is that strut. That's just gives the whole thing a bit more solidity and rigidity. Around the edge I've spot welded the lip, and inside of that I've cut a sheet of rubber. The rubber is only what is it, 12 mil thick. And it's about flush with the top of the lip, which is what you don't want. You don't want the plates coming down and hitting that, bending the lip and damaging your plates, or even worse, scratching the paint off your plates. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut another sheet a little fraction wider and just glue the two sheets together. I don't need bolts or anything else to hold it in. Gravity does that for you. You can bolt it in if you want, no problem. I'm not. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Now, on top of the whole lot, on each end, I'm going to cut a strip probably about 50 mil wide, maybe two strips 50 mil wide, and glue them on top so that there's a lip or a little buffer on each end of this, so that if I do drop a barbell on here and it starts to roll, it'll hit the lip on the end and it'll stop. In recent photos of Blaine Sumner's squat stands, safety squat stands, he's actually got a piece of wood bolted through each end. He's also got one screw in each corner to hold all this together, but like I said, I don't think I'm going to need that. I'll just glue the two large sheets together, and then I'll just glue on the two strips at the top, our little safety stops, and if I have any problems, I can just put a screw through and hold it all together that way. Okay, so let's have a look at a bit more detail of how this is made. You can see we've got our top plate. This is obviously an underneath view. Here's my two sleeves, our uprights, measured in exactly halfway. They've been welded onto the top plate, and then the brace or the strut has also been welded onto the uprights and spot welded in a couple of places onto the upper plate. So that just helps to add a little bit of weight and rigidity to the whole thing. Yes, it is really heavy, but then when you're dropping many kilos on it, you want it to be safe and secure. You don't want it breaking. Here's a little side view of one in the background. You can see the lip all the way around of the top surface. I've sprayed the whole thing just a flat black took a couple of spray cans. And so let's go on and look at the legs. It's a closer view showing the lip and the spot welds inside, and I've got a few spot welds outside as well underneath. So here's the feet. Here's our 50 by 75 and with our upright, and that's just very simply placed dead center and welded all the way around. There's a slight little step in on each end because this is only 50 mil and this is 75 mil. But, and then I've painted them all that same Alico red color. Eventually what I'll do is I'll get some plastic stoppers to put in the end of each foot, so I don't, if I do accidentally kick this, it's not going to damage my shoes or take off a toe. This is the same thing lying down, and you see it's welded all around. That's it, a very simple T shape. Okay, so that's it. All you have to do is get your chop saw and your material and cut everything to these dimensions here. This is a very simple piece of equipment to put together. Our mini barbell jack that we made, we had to cut sort of fancy little angles. Not with this. This is all square cutting. Just measure, cut, and then you get your welder, you weld your foot and your upright together. That's then finished. You then weld your sleeves and your strut to the base of the plate. Then that's finished, and then you just tack on your lip. You don't have to have a lip on it. You can just leave it just a plain plate, but then probably you'll definitely need to bolt or screw the rubber padding so that it doesn't roll off or fall off or otherwise move around. And then, of course, on top of that will be my little extra pieces of rubber stripping on top. If I'm using 12 mil rubber, I'll probably have two of them, one on top of each other, to give it a little bit of height. So that's it. It's pretty simple. Cut your pieces, weld them all together, paint it, and you're done. Finito. Now, I may have to trim these sleeves and trim the uprights a little to get this lower because I also want to use this with bench press. and I'm not certain, but this may be a fraction high. It may be actually perfect or even a little low for bench press. I'll soon find out. I'll take some measurements. Now, if it is a little too high in a neutral stand like this, then I will just take this apart, use the chop saw to take a few centimeters off the bottom here, a few centimeters maybe as well off the uprights. We'll actually definitely take some centimeters off the uprights and just take off whatever's needed off the sleeves to suit. To finish this piece, besides the extra rubber matting on top and the little rubber strips here, I will need to drill one hole through each of the sleeves and probably half a dozen holes through the upright. So there'll be 6 or 7, I might even drill them all the way up, maybe 10 holes through this, so that then you can slide a pin. You can raise it up to the height you want, then slide a pin through and it'll be locked together. So if we just look at Blaine's here, that's what he's got. It's a bit difficult to see, but he's actually got pins cutting through, holes cut through this way and a pin shoved through there, and then he's got a little safety chain so he doesn't lose the pin. I probably won't bother about that. I'll just have a pin with a great big whacking head on it so I don't lose it. So that's it. It's very simple. Get your materials, measure it up, cut it, weld it, and you're finished. It shouldn't take too long.